Hello and welcome back to Katawa Shoujo. It's been so many times since we played Katawa Shoujo together. I kind of forgot where we left off. We were going to vacation with Lilly. She got back from her aunt being sick, and now we are at the station. Or are we taking her to the airport? No, we already got back from the airport. Yes, we're going on vacation now. The morning chill wraps itself around my shivering body. I huff into my cupped hands to desperately try and stave off the cold as we mill about on the station platform. Lily's clothing looks rather ill-suited for the temperature around us. I can only hope it's indicative of what she expects the weather to be like at our destination. Damn it, Lily. Why did we have to get here so early? Unfortunately, the train schedule is against us. The next train to Hokkaido is at 2 in the afternoon. Yeah, okay, now it's coming back to me. We are going to their summer house on her sister's recommendation, and we're going to clean it, but also we're gonna go on a date, pretty much. And also Hanako's here. Great, just great. Why are you so angry? I pause a moment to wipe some sleep out of my eyes, and Lily promptly takes advantage of the opening. Cheer up, Hisao. Once we get there, it'll be much warmer. Why not just take the bullet train? A normal train's going to take hours to get us there, so we may as well just take the Shinkansen line as far north as it goes and just switch at the end. There's a certain charm to older trains, wouldn't you agree? I'd agree if I weren't freezing in the morning cold because we decided to take one. Sorry, Hisao. What? Sorry? For what? Well, you're being so angry and confrontational. Of course she's gonna say sorry. I was the one who suggested taking a normal train. Way to make me feel guilty. All I can do is sigh and cover my face with my hands. It's probably because there's not as much people. It's fine, I'm just grumbling. My, Hanako. You didn't shoulder all the blame yourself. Even without your suggestion, I'd still have opted for the same thing. Thankful for the quick interception from Lily, I take a quick gander around the station. Aside from us, the train's platform's all but deserted, the morning dew settling on the empty benches. I guess no one else was masochistic enough to brave the very early morning. Though if someone was, they'd more than notice the huge bags both Lily and Hanako brought with them. Just what did you have to pack into those things anyway? The bags? She pauses a moment, tilts her head in thought. A change of clothing, raincoat, underwear, sleepwear, a number of books. I think that's most of it. You make it sound as if I'm unprepared. Maybe you are unprepared, Hisao. You brought less? Underwear and a pack of cards, that's it. And my pills, but never mind that. No pajamas? Damn, I knew I forgot something. As I ruffle my hair in frustration, Lily sighs. There should be clothes you could use there. Akira still occasionally goes there after all, and I think some of our parents' clothing is still in storage. I don't think there'll be any problem with you borrowing a set of pajamas if need be. Thanks. Still, I don't mind just sleeping in my normal clothing. Well, that's whack. For 2 days? Good point. Not really, though 2 days would be borderline. It's more that looking even a little like a slob would be unacceptable while in the presence of 2 girls. Oof. You have to try that hard to not look like a slob, Hisao. For shame. As we leisurely talk on the station platform, an announcement sounds from the loudspeakers, loudly heralding our ride's arrival. Looking past Lily and Hanako, though, the train's still well out of sight. A quick check of my watch is enough to see that it's the one we'll be taking. The 5:30 train was ours, right?
Correct.
Either of you want me to take your bags? Mine's not exactly heavy.
My, that's very gentlemanly of you, Hassan.
Don't accept too reluctantly now. As I bend down to pick up Lily's large bag, I look up to see Hanako picking up hers. You fine with that? A silent nod, the only answer. I'm starting to get the feeling that by the trip's end, I'll be able to count every sentence she said on one hand. Don't be mean. Don't be mean. Train time. With the morning landscape passing by the window and the occasional rattle of the train bumping the carriage around, I try to focus my attention on the aging playing cards held in my hand. I'll raise you 5. She scrunches her face up and leans over to Lily conspiratorially, the two exchanging a few whispered words. Considering how often this has happened so far, I'm coming to doubt Hanako's grasp of how to play poker. It doesn't seem to disturb Lily's reading, though, her hands flitting over each page with only occasional corrections to account for the train's bumping and rocking. My collection of chess pieces that we're using as chips is steadily growing anyway, so it doesn't really bother me. Looking around us, our carriage is almost as empty as the station platform we'd waited for the train itself on. Only a handful of people can be seen, looking mostly like tourists and couples on holiday. Wah! While the two continue their less than manifest clandestiny strategizing, a small boy looks over the seat and stares at me. Hoping he doesn't begin to stare at Hanako, I simply give him a wave and a smile. Thankfully, he retreats back to his seat after finding me far too boring to waste his attention on.
I'll see you and raise you another 5.
Damn, you got me. I fold. I've been bluffing and she caught me. Hanging my head, I push over a large portion of my winnings. Hanako looks absolutely delighted, and even if Lily keeps her attention focused on her reading material, I can see the smirk on her face. They're both extremely pleased with themselves. For a moment, I try to work out what Lily's reading, but the cover is too faded to read beyond that of Roman letters on it. Beyond the fact that Roman letters are on it, I pity I can't read the braille above the printed title. What are you reading, Lily? The title looks like it's in English.
That's right. It's And Then There Were None, an old British story. I could read it to you if you'd like.
She extends the offer with a grin, obviously in jest. I think I'll pass, thanks. I don't want you to read to me. You ain't my mama. After a seemingly endless trip, we finally reach the promised land of the Sato summer house. Even after the train trip, the walk up seemed to take forever. That's a pretty modest-looking little house they got there. Despite my grumblings, though, I'd have never guessed the sight that would be in store for us once we traveled that long deserted road. It looks more like a farmhouse than the everyday house I'd imagined, small in size and surrounded by trees and bushes. An empty expanse of wheat fields and farming land can be seen as we walk up, the fencing only consisting of rickety old wooden planks. It really drives home how far we are from the major cities and is a sight that feels antithetical to the environment I grew up in. The only thing that doesn't surprise me is its Western styling. Wow, it's amazing out here.
It's wonderful. That's nice to hear. While Akira may have said that she's kept the house in reasonable condition, I was worried that we might have different standards of reasonable.
It looks like there isn't another soul for miles. I thought Akira would be the type to keep to the city. Lily furrows her brow in thought, seemingly recalling almost forgotten knowledge.
From memory, there's a small town not too far ahead. Other than that, though, this is largely just old farmland. Akira and I stayed in our parents' house, which was in the nearest city for a while, but after they left, we decided to move into a smaller, more easily maintainable house.
To find a place like this in Japan nowadays, it's kind of anachronistic. There's that word again.
Well, this town does have quite a bit of history.
I looked down the street one last time before getting back to the task at hand. Shall we go in then? I'm parched.
It was a long walk to get here.
Lily gives an enthusiastic nod, the three of us lugging our bags into the house. What is this? Why does this look so weird? As soon as we set foot inside, Hanako and I start looking around, taking in every detail of where we'll be staying for the next few days. All the artifacts of another's life stop mid-motion are around the house, such as the television guide lying beside the counter it was on, and pans in the adjoining kitchen still sitting on the stove. It's a strange feeling, really, as if we were stepping into Akira's life for a brief moment before leaving in a couple of days just as we come. Of course, the more mundane reality is that she just hasn't cleaned up after herself that well. Where should we put our bags?
I'll show Hanako our bedroom. You can put yours here if you like.
You'll be sleeping on the floor. You mean I don't have the same bedroom as you two? Hanako flowers into a full blush as Lily takes her cheek in her hand.
Oh my, how bold.
You two. Hold on, if I'm to leave my bags here, where will I be sleeping?
You will be sleeping on the floor, like a dog. Well, seeing as we lack a guest bedroom.
The convertible futon, huh?
Sorry, Hisao.
I sigh, lamenting my place at the bottom of the sleeping location priorities. I guess there's no other choice.
Isn't that always the case? Be the gentleman, Hisao. Let the ladies sleep in the comfy bed together. They can cuddle.
Lily leaves to show Hanako to their bedroom, so I take a small tour of my surroundings after I drop my bag on the floor.
It's been so long since I played this. They feel like old friends I haven't talked to in a while.
The kitchen, just like the living room, is fairly modest. The rustic nature of the wooden furnishings drives home just how far we are from civilization. Is that a bird? What is that? Returning to the living room, I decide to try out the television until they get back. With a touch of the remote, it immediately flickers to life, apparently set to a news channel. Almost flopping down from exhaustion rather than sitting, I lay back and watch, and watch, and watch, and fall asleep. Yes.
Hisao?
I quickly blink to wake myself up. Lily and Hanako have returned, minus their bags. From the Hokkaido night sky visible outside the windows, it looks like I drifted off to sleep. Looking to the wall-mounted clock, it's already 10. Time to go back to sleep.
You found the television then?
Yeah, it really does feel nice and homey here.
I'm glad you like it. You were already out like a light when we came back after unpacking our things, so we didn't have the heart to wake you sooner.
Judging from her giggle, I must sound funny when I sleep. I swiftly decide not to inquire.
There's some dinner waiting for you in the kitchen.
Hanako gives a deep yawn, only just remembering to cover her mouth at the last second. That's not fair! Hanako, you made me yawn.
My, are you tired? I didn't get much sleep last night.
I'm pretty tired too. It was a long walk up here and it's getting late.
If that's the case, I suppose we should retire for the night. Good night, Hisao. Good night.
Night. With that, they quietly turn and walk back to their bedroom. Rubbing my eyes, I sigh. I wonder if I'll be able to get back to sleep after being woken up. I suppose I'll eat something and watch some TV quietly before going to bed.
I missed you, little beep boops. Is he still sleepy? I think so.
I'm not. I am, however, incredibly tired.
It's getting late in the morning.
I know that.
He likely stayed up to watch television. I could hear it from our bedroom.
Only because I couldn't get to sleep.
Should we wake him?
Don't do that, Hanako. Please.
No, we should leave him.
I doubt he'd want to be woken up early if he didn't get much sleep during the night. Thank you, Lily. Besides, he sounds so peaceful it would be a shame to wake him when he's like this. Keep a straight face, Hisao. It's nice to hear she cares so much, though. Hanako, could you go to the fridge and fish out what's needed to make lunch?
Alright, just the vegetables and rice?
That should be enough. We only need something simple as we can eat in town later. Hanako's footsteps on the carpeted floor can be heard moving away from the living room. As they do, I feel Lily's gentle hand rest on my chest. It takes a titanic effort not to react, but something about her makes me think she knows I'm awake. A long silence passes. The only thought in my mind is of that gentle, outstretched hand laying upon my chest. After an indiscernible amount of time, Lily withdraws her hand. Good morning, Hisao. Conceding defeat all too easily, I prop myself up and rub my eyes. How'd you know? Your breathing was off. While that makes sense, she couldn't have needed that long to work it out, knowing her hearing. She likely knew before laying her hand on me. If you want to sleep more, you should really go to bed earlier. I heard the television going long into the night. Sorry about that. My medications have been interfering with my sleep for a while now. Even if I'm tired, I have trouble actually sleeping. I'm sorry for bringing it up, Hisao. I sigh. This is exactly the kind of thing I wish others wouldn't do. Oh, no, 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 no. I don't want to make a decision. This seems so trivial. Address it? I think she'd like us being open with her, right? I guess we'll see. Come on, you worry about me more than I do at times. It just means I have to sleep a bit longer, that's all. But still. I'd say that I look absolutely fine, but I guess that wouldn't have a lot of meaning for you. She gives a sigh of consternation before trailing off with an amused chuckle, giving up the point. If you say so. Please do take care of yourself, Hisao. Go on. Hanako could use some help. She moves to protest, but reluctantly acquiesces and disappears into the kitchen, her hand running along the smooth white walls as she slowly walks. For a while I sit and watch television in an attempt to wake myself a little more, but it's futile. I don't have anything better to do, so I follow Lily's lead. As I round the corner, I see Hanako and Lily, backs turned, quietly cutting food on the granite-colored counter. I am temporarily engrossed as I watch Lily guiding the knife down carefully with a finger on the cabbage she's cutting, each slice delivered slowly but with precision. She seems a little slow, but considering that she can't see what she's doing, it's a small wonder she can cook at all, let alone for both her and Hanako. Hi, Hanako. Lily, want any help?
It's Hisao.
Lily jerks back in surprise before turning around, her yelp immediately drawing Hanako and me to her side. A small trickle of scarlet falls down from her palm, her pale fingertip, the knife having cut just deep enough to draw blood. With the television sound masking my footsteps, she must not have noticed me coming. To compensate for having to use touch to guide everything she does during cooking, she must need to pay extra attention.
Lily!
Don't worry, Hanako, it's just a small wound. You should still get a band-aid on it, at least until it stops bleeding. First aid stuff should be in the bathroom, right? I think so. Will you be okay here, Hanako? Uh-oh. I don't trust when we're alone. Hanako, come with us. We need you to keep us chaste. I frown at how little heed she's paying to herself as Hanako gives a quick, almost automatic nod.
It's fine. I can keep making lunch.
An awkward silence reigns as I send the bottle of antiseptic and a box of band-aids on the side of the sink. Lily's finger held out for me to treat. The lid of the bottle comes off with a minimum of resistance, and the small bag of cotton I soak in the liquid stains a pale green. Wait, what? Why is your Why is it green? Do I not know? All of the antiseptic I ever use is clear. But I just use straight vodka. Okay, hold still. This'll probably hurt a little bit. She gives a small nod as I hold her hand to steady it. With all the tenderness I can muster, I gently bring the dampened wad to the small red line. Ah! What? I've barely touched it. Sorry. She's probably extra sensitive. She gotta use her little fingies, so they gotta evolve extra touchy glands. I give a sigh, both at her reaction and to settle my own nerves. Her pain tolerance is startlingly low. I would tell you to man up, but I can't really do that. Why not? Also, why would you tell anyone to man up? Period. As she gives a small giggle, I take advantage of her momentary distraction and gently press the cotton against her finger a few times. Thankfully, it's enough to do the job. We both settle somewhat as I bring the band-aid over the tip of her finger. How do you know it does the job? Do you have, like, vision that lets you see all the germs? Covering the wound while making sure not to get it stuck on her fingernail. There, finished. You can move now. Taking her hand from mine, she gently clasps it in the other. Thank you. It's no problem. It's the least I can do after causing you to hurt yourself after all. You're taking a lot of blame for her just getting shocked, or what's the word? Surprised? You just caught her off guard. I don't think you should take too much blame. She lowers her head slightly at the apology, absent-mindedly rubbing her hand in what seems to be embarrassment. I really don't mind. Her answer doesn't seem to make much sense, given that what happened is pretty clearly my fault. I can't help grimacing at her. Despite the fact that her dainty smile still holds, she must not like being reminded of the limitations her lack of sight imposes on her. It's something I can't possibly fault her for. I've fallen prey to the same kind of feelings before, despite my condition not being nearly as ubiquitous in my life. Neither of us any the happier, we head back to the various smells of cooking food coming from the kitchen. Okay, good. I lay out the plates of food, steam slowly rising from the well-cooked rice and curry dishes, while Hanako lays out the cutlery. Knife one side, fork on the other, Western, how perfectly fitting for someone like Lilly. As we take our seats, taking careful heed of the dark red tablecloth hanging below our knees, Lilly emerges from the kitchen. In her hands are 3 glasses and a bottle of wine? Lilly, you're an alcoholic. As I recall our previously run-in with that devilish elixir, I hide my face in my palm. Alcohol? Seriously? Out here as young bucks in the middle of nowhere? Scandalous. She pauses as she reaches the table, a playful grin perches on her face. Akira specifically gave permission to take a bottle from her collection. Not only does she give alcohol to minors, she even lets them pilfer their own. The perfect model of a responsible adult, Akira is not. More to the point, though, is that this is hardly a meal deserving of alcohol. I'm starting to think Lily's the type to easily become hooked on things. Ruh-roh. She's an alcoholic. That's not really the problem. I don't really have any qualms with it, but didn't you have a bad experience with it last time? Last time was likely due to drinking too much, so a single glass shouldn't prove a problem. Think of it as a learning experience. I can't recall many learning experiences that made me feel rotten before putting me to sleep, but I'll take your word for it. She dips an uninjured finger inside to feel the liquid level, tip against the bottom as the liquid rises up. The white of her finger almost seems to glow as the sunlight hits it, the delicate outline blurred and refracted by the glass. Her fingers are definitely longer than mine, the kind I'd think are more suited to a pianist than a teacher. She'd likely have done well if she'd learned how to play. Maybe. Long fingers don't make you be good at piano. I guess they just help because you can just, like, palm the whole keyboard. We quickly dig into our meal, forks and knives clattering against the plates. None of us are particularly eager to speak while eating, Lily altogether too reserved for such a thing, Hanako probably too shy to start conversation, and I too busy savoring the food. It's quiet and awkward. Such a pedestrian activity, eating together at a table. It seems so utterly normal, yet it makes me realize how long it's been since I've done something like this. Just the three of us, sitting around a single table, eating as if we were a malformed family. Why you gotta be a malformed family? Why can't you be a regular formed family? Maybe this trip as far away from everything as we are was worth it. You've only been there for like a day. Do you already regret? It takes quite a long time, but eventually we all finish our surprisingly filling meal. The wine, thankfully, has little effect given we've only had a glass or two each. I slump back into the seat, rubbing my stomach contentedly. I'm stuffed. Lily pats her mouth with a napkin. Twice. Only twice. And with evenly timed intervals in between. It's hard to tell sometimes whether how she acts is well-trained routine or a well-rehearsed act.
I think I must be as well. Do you like it, Hanako? It was nice. Now that we're all fed, shall we be off?
Off? Where? I was about to take a nap.
You weren't privy to the discussion between Hanako and me earlier.
I get the impression that she's having a subtle dig at my sleeping in.
We're going into the town nearby.
I guess I should have expected two girls to take a holiday as an excuse to go shopping. Wow! Wow! That's rude, no matter where on the planet they may be. I am interested to see more around the north, though, so this can only be a good thing. Sounds good. How long's the walk in there?
It's supposed to be around a mile to a mile and a half.
Nearby, huh? Great. Just great. I hate walking, and I hate keeping company with two nice girls. It sucks. As we climb up the path surrounded by trees and undergrowth, I watch Lily and Hanako walking ahead. The slight breeze all but whisks away the sound of Lily's cane gently tapping on the ground. I notice that Lily's since removed the band-aid now that the bleeding of her finger has stopped. A deep, lung-filling breath of fresh country air makes me wish all the harder that the air was around home had been quite so clean. It can't have even been half a mile, and I'm already working up a sweat. It isn't a pleasantly cool day, though, so I shouldn't be too hard on myself for it. Hey, Lily, how well do you know this town anyway?
Since I spent quite a few of my vacations here up until I entered Yamaku, I'd say I know it fairly well. We used to drive there once a weekend then.
How I wish Akira was here to drive us now. I quickly take a moment to rub my hands a couple of times, staving off the oddly cold feeling in them. Did you like it up here?
I'd say it was nice during winter, but as you can work out, summers get a little too hot for comfort. It's nice and quiet at least. My family's real house is quite far south. When they left Japan, my parents gave it to Akira and me. Only Akira lives there now, after my moving into Yamaku.
Quiet certainly describes this place. Though lonely is how I'd put it. Other than the prophesized small town, there isn't another soul for miles around. Coming from a home nestled deep within the big city, it's certainly different. I think that if I'd not come to Yamaku, staying out in the country like this would be too much of a change to get used to. We weaned you into it, Hisao. After getting accustomed to the school's isolation, though, the idea of living in a place such as this has become almost inviting. To be somewhere away from the hustle and bustle of the metropolitan centers.
So, Hisao, have you been to Hokkaido before?
Nah, I used to live down south, and we never had any field trips or holidays up this far.
Well, it's a new experience for you. Then.
Yeah, it is. I'm surprised at how nice it feels here. How about you, Hanako? She shakes her head from side to side.
It's my first time, too.
As we continue walking, I begin to feel pins and needles in my legs. It's a little disturbing, given that there's no reason for it to be happening. Could you two hold on a minute? I just need to...
Is anything wrong?
No, I've just got pins and needles in. Uh-oh. He's dying. The nearest hospital isn't for like many miles away, and nobody's around to help you. And there's no cell phone service. Credits. Hisao died. My vocal cords suddenly become taut as my chest tightens instantaneously. I quickly pull my upper arm over it, trying to quell the shot of pain spreading throughout my entire body.
Hisao?
Lily's face is only mildly concerned, not knowing the sight which Hanako's recoiling from.
I'm fine. I'm fine, just tired.
I remove my arm from my chest and force myself to begin walking again. It's just a minor heart flutter, so it'll pass like the others. It only takes a couple of steps before my body violently revolts against me, my legs suddenly beginning to give way underneath me and all tension in my knees seeming to evaporate. Whoop! Before I can react, they uselessly give way under my weight, leaving me only just enough time to brace myself and fall onto all floors. All floors. Ah, damn. Hisa! As I look up to see her, I realize my face is still taut with pain, only adding that much more to her worrying.
Hisao? Hanako, tell me what's going on. Hanako, tell me.
Hanako quickly moves to my side as Lily almost panics. Having little clue as to exactly how bad a condition I'm in, while she stands there petrified, I lower my face and take a deep breath. I come to a realization that makes me endlessly irritated with my stupid self. With all the excitement of my new surroundings, I'd entirely neglected to take my medication last night or even this morning. Did Hisao actually die? Taking another breath, the acute pain in my chest begins to die down as suddenly as it arrived. Thank God, thank God, thank God, thank God. As it does, I become acutely aware of the sweat by now pouring off my face and the two scared girls around me.
Hisao!
I'm fine, Lily, I'm fine. I screw up my brow in an effort to... What? I screw up my brow in an effort to lever myself up, Hanako's arms quickly moving to catch me if I fall as I stumble a bit before regaining my balance. I look to Lily and Hanako, worry written on both of their faces. I feel awful, utterly awful.
I think we should go back.
Realizing the futility of protesting, I look away in frustration. Fine. Whoa! Wow. That sucks. Okay. We're gonna leave it off there. We almost had a heart attack on our half-mile walk to town, so we don't know what the town looks like. And, I made a choice, and we will see what happens when, with that choice I made. I honestly thought that I killed Hisao right there with my choice. But we will see. And I will see everybody in the next video. Bye!